first County Council meeting of 2023. If you would join me, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This year we'll continue to exercise the initiative that Councilman Ayers set forth last year by opening our meeting with either a time of corporate prayer or a time of personal reflection and prayer. So this morning I invited Pastor Daniel Stevens from the Burlington Faith Church of Christ to come and open us in prayer.
Right.
Yes.
Would you please bow your heads with me? Almighty God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we come before you today to acknowledge that you do govern in the affairs of men. And God, in the confusion and the chaos of the world, sometimes it's hard to see clearly. And I just pray that your wisdom, that your light would guide each one of the members of this council to see clearly what is good and to do your will in justice and truth and mercy. God, thank you for your Son. We pray in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, before we get into the consent agenda, I just had a couple things that I wanted to offer as an opening statement for this year. So if you'd allow, I'm just going to read this as I wrote it. As we begin this new year and the concerns that it holds, I want to pause for a moment and speak to where we have been as it relates to where we are headed. This council, and I mean specifically these 7 people sitting on this board, have served together for multiple years now, and I'm proud of the ways we have worked to serve Carroll County and its residents through our efforts. Through discussion, disagreement, critical thought, and a consistent focus on the communities we serve, this council has ensured that the needs of the people are met while also maintaining a healthy level of financial stewardship. I want to publicly express my appreciation to Councilman Ayers for his leadership in 2022 and to Councilman Blue and the councils prior who ensured our county would enter this year with a solid and healthy financial position as we address various key projects and scenarios. This year, we will be faced with properly funding a double murder trial, continued efforts towards funding an affordable yet serviceable jail, continued support and efforts towards a financially sustainable Carroll Manor, appropriating ARPA funds, weighing the merits of a morgue or additional ambulance garage, addressing certain equipment requests, and continuing to study and evaluate county wages and salaries. While these may seem daunting, because of our past resolve, we are positioned to lead well in these projects and scenarios. However, I encourage each of us, and I include myself in this charge, to do the following. As much as it depends on you, do not skip meetings. Ask critical questions. Let's think about the residual costs of the decisions that we make, the operational costs, the ancillary costs. What is the cost of saying no? What are the unspoken issues or factors that need brought into the discussion? Let's be prepared. Meet with your department heads prior to our meetings. Consult with anyone who can provide insight or perspective. This could be department heads, commissioners, fellow council members, other county representatives, AIC resources, etc. Engage due diligence. Spend time with the reports and the data. Specifically on the financial reports, what are the monthly year-to-date budget utilization percentages? What lines are red flags within each report? Work with your departments on this. Track the financial report month over month for changes and outliers. Report this data each month. And finally, don't give in to an emotional response. I realize everyone likes to say yes and be agreeable. It's admittedly an easier path, but true leadership does not give in to an emotional appeal. Again, I say this for my own benefit as much as anybody's. I intend no new procedural changes this year, other than what the council deems appropriate as a result of our normal business. I'm convinced that we will be able to lead through the challenges and realize growth for our county by being committed to the efforts I just mentioned. I want to thank you all for your hard work and willingness to serve, and I look forward to a great year together. All right, with that, let's move on to the consent agenda. There are just a couple things on the consent agenda this morning. Approval of minutes, and those were sent out. Do you have comments on those?
I did change, a little bit on the officers. I did put a second in there for the, Tim Ratcliffe. And he pointed that out yesterday, so it was corrected. I did not resend them to you.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign? All right. Yes.
No, who's not here? Who's present?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so, we have all council members present, with the exception of Ethan Brown. All right, we'll move on to the financial reports. So I do want to, just make a couple comments as we ended 2022. Our actual revenue, for 2022 was $8,898,884, and our actual spent in 2022 was $8,975,338. So that's 102% utilization for the year. So about a $75,000 burn on that, which we did anticipate to some extent, but I just want to call it out. To end the year, our rainy day fund was at $4.3 million balance. Our riverboat was at $337 and almost $500,000, and county general ended at $6.3 million. So those are the ending balances to end 2022. For my department specifically, EMA ended the year at a 93.6 year-to-date budget utilization. And I will continue to mention the $60,000 that we budgeted for repeaters was not spent. So that's where I get the 93.6 year-to-date. If you looked at the financial report, the number was quite smaller than that. But if you take that $60,000 out, that's where EMA ended up. Cume Bridge ended up at 55.27%. Motor Vehicle Highway Fund 1176 at 70.57% year-to-date. Supplemental Adult Probation at 92.6% year-to-date. With that, I will send it over to the council mayors to continue.
Thank you, Chair Clark. As he stated, I noticed also 102%. We had some additionals last year that probably helped to put us over that 100% mark. My department's prosecutor ended up at 72%. Obviously, we had some additionals for prosecutorial department concerning the double murder trial. Commissioners at 92, council at 89, EMS at 96, and 40 prosecutor also at 96. I think going forward, and I want to thank you for your comments. Those were timely and extremely heartfelt. I appreciate that. I think going forward, once again, I think we'll need to pay close attention to additionals and the money that we have in the kitty because of those expenditures that you spoke of earlier. So thank you.
Okay, so my departments are all in good shape. We do have on the agenda, we're gonna talk about 911. That was the only one that I see that we just had a little problem with. Other than that,
Mine were all in the black. My department's all in good shape too. Monitor assessor report are all, in good shape. Want to thank Nada for trying to do some new stuff with, reassessment, and, I think that's going to provide dividends long term, and,
You will notice on the agenda, we have new updated department appointments for each county council member. And I think you have a hard copy of those as well. Just as a baseline for this morning, one, if there's any concerns or things that we need to look at, let me know and we'll do that. But we really did this a few years ago to make sure that as a council, we're being a resource for the departments within the county. And so I want to encourage us to continue to be available, to make sure that we are a valuable resource to the departments that we're assigned. We want to create opportunity for communication. It's easier to have a point person than to have a board that you need to approach. So that's really an objective for this. And then also, we really want to have a more intentional focus on the monthly financial reports. I remember when I first started on council, we rotated the financial readout each month. And for those that don't know, that document is about a 90 plus or minus page document. So for one person to have to do that each month is a tall task. And so this way, it parses it out. It gives everybody a chunk to focus on in departments to really develop rapport and relationship with and focus on month over month. So if you have any questions about those, let me know. We'll look at it. But that's been distributed for this year. I'll turn it over to Beth for the auditor's report.
Again, the reports were sent out on December 12th. Didn't know whether you had any questions on the year end or these, December 12th, I think that's January 12th. I'm still back.
Yeah, I think it was January.
Yeah, that's okay. Does anybody have any questions on these?
Trash transfer station, the grant money that we get back, which line does it proceed into?
It is under reimbursements.
So it's just a wash with a bunch of those.
It doesn't go into a separate, because you know how much it is to get the credit for once you guys send the reporting for you. Goes in county general.
Is it possible to receive it into its own line, or just let us know, because we can't, I mean, like, I can't look at this report and find out it's doing what it's supposed to do. Because I don't, that's a big number, it's like $20,000-$30,000.
No.
The salary reimbursement?
Oh, it's
That's not the salary reimbursement from the River Lake grant.
It's salary, it's part salary and part recycling.
Right.
So it's like this one was, which I was going, I think it's 11,000.
For the year?
I claimed 11,000, but only 6,000 was left, and that's what we received. So I can show you where to find it. in
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Rainy day, I did want to tell you that I did transfer the 800,000, and it is included in the 2022 balances.
When was it transferred? 22 or 23?
Pardon?
When was it transferred? 22 or 23?
End of December.
Yeah, 22. Thank you.
I'm gonna do these small ones first here. I have the assignments for the redevelopment that we need to sign. I'm gonna give these out and pass them around, but they were left somewhere on the table, not signed, so, last time. You already appointed Josh and Paul to the redevelopment board. Insurance fund, am I supposed to transfer the insurances from the different funds? And again, this year to the insurance fund?
move to, transfer all, it's not a transfer. I move that the auditor move the money from all appropriated lines for health insurance into the health insurance fund.
Second.
Okay, that was Josh and Scott. All right, we have a motion on the floor to move all remaining money,
It's not remaining, it's the new 2023 budget,
Okay.
line items from the different funds that have the insurance. Yes, I don't know, I can figure it out, I'll look at last year's, that's that.
yeah. Josh, can you restate your motion just for
To
clarity?
move all appropriated funds, or move all healthcare or health insurance appropriated funds to the healthcare. Let me get one correct line. Move all health insurance lines to the healthcare fund.
1150, how about this?
1150, there you go.
Okay, so, we have a motion on the floor, seconded by Scott Ayers, to move all health insurance lines to the healthcare fund, 1150. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes 6-0.
The other line that I have is, I talked to Tim and we kind of discussed about having a joint session with the commissioners. I talked to them on Monday and they're agreeable to have it on February 20th at 1 p.m. and that's the date that Tim and I kind of looked at, February 20th. Monday, at 1 o'clock.
What's the joint session for?
This will be to discuss, ARPA funds and, putting a plan together, to utilize those funds.
And to look at the request that's already been.
Yeah,
And there've been some others that have been turned in since.
Is the courthouse open over there?
Let's open that day.
What time?
That's fine.
Time?
1 o'clock.
So we're going to meet on February 20th, okay, great. At 1 p.m. now? At 1 o'clock. The other is that, and I passed one out to you today, if you see all the highlighted areas, I went through and while I was doing, I believe it was the highway from the last time. Well, maybe you did. But if you notice, it's version 2 already, we're not even out of January. Yeah, I picked red this time. Shoot. But anyway, the ones that I highlighted were the, 2 that were typos and, the highway, but I also included, the numbers at the jail under how many you have in that line. So we received those with this last, payroll, which was nice to have, and I know it's nice for you guys to have. The third page, I added or changed the CASA director. It was CASA guardian ad litem, it's really the CASA director now. She gets paid out of 2 lines, so I put both of those in there. The other one was the second deputy probation officer, I put as half, because it comes from half year and half from probation. And then the jail, same way, number of people in those line items. And the next page, community corrections was not in there because I had not received their budget. We are there now. And of course, the truck drivers, you wanted the CDL and non-CDL not to exceed 14 added to the side. And then you changed the hourly rate to $19.26. And my bad, area plan was still not the right name, and I got it changed as office administrator. Then supplemental probation, I left off the second, or the, anyway, the two probation officers were crisscrossed and one left off. So, the deputy probation officer was put in, the second deputy was put in as, and I put joint courts on the side, and that is the one that's supposed to have the additional, and the Superior Court judge put in to have it paid out of county general, so that's a note for you guys for later on in the meeting. The other, is I have the front section of this that we need to sign as December 22, so. I thought it got in somewhere. This. It's not much anymore here today, but anyway, this is what I need to approve. If we will approve it.
So if we are going to make an amendment or to discuss an amendment to it, do you want that discussion before we do that, or do you want that approved and then make a change and have it be approved?
If you're gonna change it, I think now would be the time.
Okay. So I would like to open discussion, regarding well, I guess I'll make a motion to, open debate to, so my motion is to institute a range for, the EMS department, for the part-time workers.
And I agree, there was talk during budget time, I think we just kind of overlooked it when we did the salary ordinance.
I agree.
I will second that motion and follow up with a question. Is the range instituted already for the EMTs, but not the paramedics?
Neither.
Neither, okay.
But do we need to know the range?
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't like that one.
Discuss.
Discuss.
Yes.
So,
That's what I get.
Doug, do you wanna come up and, cause he had given us a range, so I'd like for him to explain the ranges that he had given.
I didn't bring my stuff with me. I believe the range for paramedics now that for was 21 to 25, I believe, and EMTs is 16 to 18 initially. I think through discussions that we had, I don't know if you guys have changed the range for EMTs or not. I don't remember that for sure. When I went to pay last time, I happened to notice on the salary ordinance, it's still just the nice rate, so that's why I brought it up. So,
And that's what I had written on our budgets, but then I had it back for discussion.
Yeah.
I think we dismissed the discussion.
That was an oversight, I believe.
Yeah. With no change in the total budget amount, it's just we're allowing him
To pay
the
maybe per
variation to pay,
experience
yes,
or.
exactly.
And we did increase the line to 7%.
Correct, yes.
But yes, this would, I'm not advocating, or my motion is not to change the appropriation, just to change what the department head can pay per hour.
Has anybody done the math on this? My concern is that his proposed hourly rate outpaces the 7% increase in the overall line that was appropriated.
Yeah, and I think that's where management, I mean, this is a management decision. I mean, there's only so much money in the line, and then it's the department head's responsibility to use that amount of money, however you want it.
And I will say this year already, we're down one paramedic as of right now, and we have one that's leaving. And the beginning of February, he's gonna be, has surgery, so he's gonna be out for 4 to 6 months probably, recovering from surgery. So we're gonna rely on our part-time staff to help pick up those hours. The problem is if I don't pay them a little bit more, I'm not gonna get them And I don't know that's the answer, I mean, there's a shortage of medics right now anyway, so my process is to pay them a little bit more, to give them more incentive to come here to work versus other places to work. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to rely on full-timers to pick up overtime hours to help cover.
Which would be more expensive.
So as, to answer your question, I don't know, at the end of the year, I don't know what that's gonna look like, especially this year with these two being off. I know that I do normally have extra.
You would not be compensating them for that if they're off for 6 months, correct? Correct.
Well, whatever the FL, or the
Right.
FLMA, whatever I have to do there, women's leave, their vacation time, and then personal time and all that stuff, yeah. Right. So there would be some probably in there that could be transferred.
Right, that was where I was going. I mean, it's not dollar for dollar, but it's
And
some.
what was the monthly rate that you suggested? Is it 16 to 18?
Yes, I believe that's what it is. On my initial budget.
I can amend my motion to his requested pay scale. That's, okay.
Is that a line?
Is that
of what you
objection?
were gonna say?
No, I was going to, make a motion to get, the EMT 16 to 18 and the paramedic 21 to 23 range.
That's 225. I just wanna make sure you need it. So that motion.
Is that your
If I can motion, I didn't know if I could motion since.
Well, there's a
it's-
motion on the floor.
I think, well, yeah, and I just
So I'll
like
just put it
to,
up for debate.
I'll just clarify my motion. I'll clarify for the requested, the department has requested pay ranges. What I guess will be my motion.
Which again was,
16 to 18 and 24 to 20.
21.
Excuse me, 20.
So we're not gonna.
I will say that we don't have very many that would do that.
And that is my reasoning for not doing the 25, because if you look at their other pay scales in that is quite higher than what the others are being paid, so that's why I would adjust it down.
So Josh's motion.
Yes, it's
And then we need a second.
Second.
Scott, yes.
he's saying we need to second the motion as a
The amended.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
You second.
All right, anyone can second it.
Second.
Paul did.
Okay. I'm with you.
Amended's motion. Josh did. Was seconded.
Okay.
That's
So my discussion and the reason for changing the second pay range is because if you go up to 25 an hour, that is quite high compared to what his other employees are being paid, even though it's part-time. And he just sat there and said that not very many of them would be hired in at 25, so that's my reason by lowering that range.
I understand.
And you lowered it to 23.
No, I would do it on the
She
discussion.
wants to lower it to 23, it's a motion. It's 21 to 25.
I think we just let him manage his department. My thought.
Again, just as a reminder, it doesn't change the amount of money that's appropriated in the line. So he can't spend over what is budgeted. So he's gotta manage that from a part-time basis.
So my only thought process, or not my only thought process, but I think it's worth mentioning, if your only option is overtime, and you have somebody that's you're paying 20 or 20 whatever dollars an hour for a paramedic, I mean, their overtime rate's 30, so you're saving $5 an hour by paying 25. So, if that's the situation, we're not always gonna be in that situation, but, I mean, again, this goes into management. It's gonna take a lot, it's gonna be incumbent upon the manager to watch this very closely. And I mean, I cannot say any more firmly, like, this is not a blank check to just hire everybody at $25, and if that's, I mean, like, this can be rescinded if we think that policies being used. So, but for right now, this is what I would think the best course of action.
And I think I would like to add, I think Doug probably is one of the most frugal, managers that we have, department managers, department heads that we have. I just, don't see any abuse taking place with them at all. And Doug, if you would you, bring us up to date on your calls? I know you and I had a discussion that the calls have just been outlandish this year.
Yeah, I actually have an annual report if you guys want that now. I can give it to you now if you want.
When we finish this.
Sure. I don't think that's correct.
Okay, so, we have a motion on the floor, by Josh Blue, seconded, by, Paul Ryder, to institute a hourly pay range, for part-time paramedics and part-time EMTs. Part-time paramedics at a range of $21 to $25, part-time EMTs at a range of $16 to $18 per hour.
Just for a point of order, I believe the way that Beth has reported it, and Eric, please correct me if I'm wrong, there was an amendment and then a motion to amend that motion, so you would need to vote on the motion to amend to that pay range, and then vote to approve the amended motion.
Okay.
I thought that's what
It's his motion, and if he wants it, fine, you're gonna vote to put it at 21 to 25 and 16 to 18. And,
it'd just be cleaner, because then if it wants to be amended to a different amount.
different. So I would suggest you have a vote on that first, and then you still have the main motion to deal with.
Okay. So are you clear on that, Beth? So we're gonna vote on the amended motion first.
Well, that's why I was asking why he made the first one, he said.
That was,
As long as we know where it's ending up.
Yeah, that's all.
It'll work out
Yeah,
fine.
all right.
So I would suggest you go ahead and take a voice vote on the amendment, as Josh has put it forward.
Yes.
Okay. All right, voting on the amended motion that Josh, put on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes 5-1. Tracy Martin voting nay. All right. So,
Now you have the motion that has been seconded by him, and it is, I think it's been said several times, but it is, paramedics 21 to 25, EMT 16 to 18, and this would to institute a range, for part-time workers in those positions.
The first vote is just to amend the motion from an ambiguous range to a specific range, and now the motion is amended, and that's part of it.
okay, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
What was?
We'll get there. Yeah, okay, so now we have a motion on the floor, by Josh Blue, seconded by, Paul Ryder, to, institute a range of pay, specified at $21 to $25 per hour for part-time paramedics, $16 to $18 per hour for part-time EMTs. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes 5-1. Councilmember Tracy Martin voted nay.
So I
With
can
that
just,
amendment.
I can just mark this out, or not mark it out, mark it, and then if you will sign my copy. of that.
Now, the rest of the highlighted changes in version 2.
Yes.
Motion to approve the highlighted changes in version 2.
Which you would consider this to be a highlighted change?
Yeah, I think you've already
I'll
made that,
Or do you want that? Okay.
you've already made that one change it now to approve the version 2 that you've already added for the
Is there a motion on
Carroll? He just made it.
Okay, I said.
I apologize, yes, there is. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, by Paul Ryder, seconded by Josh Flew, to approve the amended 2023 salary ordinance version 2. Any discussion or concerns
I
on
just
that?
want to, for the record, clarify that we are including this new amendment with the EMT and paramedic act, in that motion.
Great. Any other clarifications or discussion? All those in favor of approving the salary ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign? All right, motion passes 6-0. Okay, Beth, did you have anything else inside your auditor's report? We
Yeah, I just.
Yeah,
said
I
that.
discussed that.
And you just like to see. Oh, I'm sorry, boy, I didn't see those names. Here we go. Sir?
All right, so we're all set, Beth?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. All right, Sheriff, if you wanna.
First off, good morning. Like Tim said, I'm looking forward to making this a great year with you guys and beyond. That being said, I'm not here to ask for money, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm just here for some house cleaning.
Should you say yet?
I don't wanna, no, it's first time, we're good. So my just housekeeping type stuff. Title 36 lays out things that I can spend commissary for. And part of that, the last line of that is anything that you guys approve, I can spend it on that as well. It's my understanding so he's been paying the legal deputy out of commissary. Well, that's not one of those things
It's
that.
not a prescribed.
Yeah, it's not a prescribed thing, so I just need to get approval for that, and I think if it's in the minutes, I'll just take a copy of the minutes and keep that on file, but I think that's all I need.
Move to, give the sheriff the authority to pay, the legal deputy from the commissary fund.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Josh Blue, seconded by Tracy Martin, to allow the sheriff to pay his legal deputy out of the commissary fund. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Sheriff.
Tony, I have a question for you on the commissary report. Not they're just for the record. So, did you do this report or did Toby?
Alicia did the report.
Okay, I don't know if this is just like a kind of a standard, like, copy and paste that all the sheriffs use from like a format perspective.
I kinda got it.
Yeah, and I'm, we've been talking to Toby about this for a number of years, and like we've never really dove into it, but I think that it's gonna merit a little bit of research, because from a reporting perspective, all we see is a beginning cash balance of 21,000 and an ending cash balance of 15,000 with some distributions in here, but because there's a couple things that we can't see from that. We don't know what the level of inventory is, so if you spent, because all of it's lumped together, right? So like when you buy new commissary products and all those kinds of things, you could have $20,000 or $30,000 of inventory in lower cash, and be in a terrific position, or you could have no inventory, $15,000 in cash. This report doesn't really, it doesn't make that clear to us. And so, like, we can work with you just to see if there's some way that we can account for it a little bit differently that makes it more intuitive, because the cash balance has consistently gone down, and that's not necessarily a good sign for sustainability, but like, from this, we can't really make any judgments about what's good or bad, because, like I said, you could have $30,000 of inventory and have what used to be a $50,000 cash balance, but now it's just in stuff instead of in cash. So,
Happy to sit down.
yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to kind of air
I have
that.
the sheriff's department just sharing that. I'll come in, I can help you with
That lady knows what she's doing.
I've questioned this for a couple of years.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you. Okay, we've got B&W Construction here, and so I would entertain the opportunity to have you come up and speak to us in terms of the jail project and where we're at there. Yeah, Dustin can introduce.
Yeah, introduce yourself. Again, good morning. My name's Dustin Fry. I'm one of the owners of BW Construction, and we are the selected contractor through the DOT process by the commissioners. We've been working on the jail project with Elevatus as the architect and the board of commissioners, previous sheriff, current sheriff, since about September of last year. Today, being that this is our first time at the council, I know there was a joint meeting that not everybody was at late last year. Wanted to get an update of where we are with what we've been doing and putting together the numbers and the price. And then we also have Baird with us to give an update on the funding options that are for consideration with you. So over the last month, in late November, we bid this project out. The current design that Elevatus had prepared. We bid that out, we presented those numbers. It was significantly higher than I think anybody anticipated, including us. Over the last month, we have put it back out to the bidders that bid it. We asked them to look at things and see where their numbers were and what was driving the cost up, outside of just the excuse that we're in an inflated market with escalation over the last few years. And we also challenged a handful of other bidders that had expressed interest, but for whatever reason didn't turn in a bid originally to us. And they provided some numbers to us. And at the same time, we dove into a process that we call value engineering, where we look at the design and take various ideas from subcontractors, from our history in building jails, challenging Elevatus to look at things that we can make some easy changes to the design that don't affect the overall durability of the building or the function. And we've done that. In this previous Monday at the commissioners meeting, we reviewed that list with them from a scope perspective. So I've got a summary, a cost summary that I'll pass out here. If you want to take one to pass around. That kind of, this is updated with the info from Monday's meeting, just a line item on the bottom. But the bottom line total, currently, having got additional bids and sharpening those pencils, and originally we were at $27,180,000 in round numbers. Our current estimate after doing that process came down to $25,460,000. And then the value engineering items that we went through with the board of commissioners and the sheriff on Monday, that they all approved to implement into the project, that created just over $538,000 of savings. So our current projected project cost on the construction of this facility is $24,920,840. A couple notes in there. The way our contract would be structured with the commissioners is that any cost that isn't spent returns 100% to the county at the completion of the project. I'd like to note that there is currently $804,000 of contingencies within this number. I guarantee we will spend some of that. We always do. Things happen, right? It's construction. But we've got a very good team of contractors. We don't have everyone finalized yet. There's still some close people on bid packages that we're scoping out and seeing where we can get. So this isn't a final number, but there is that contingency, and then there's also an additional $120,000 in there for soil stabilization. The soils report states that would probably be needed, so we've priced it in here. But depending on the time of year